and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home. Here with your six-pack of picks for the week. It is week 2 of the NFL season. It is week 3 of the college football season. Football is going. The season will be over before we know it, Brian Twining, but we should recap all that was before we dive into all that is. It was so good to have football back. Did you enjoy
It is
a full 48 hours of, or I guess even more, 72 hours of just nonstop action? So here is our card from the week. I had the Texans plus 7.5. That was the easy rocking chair cash. They almost took it on the field, but because of ties, they did not. But cash that number easy. Iowa State, Iowa, rocking chair finish. Loved every minute of that. I think it was 17-7, 24 points, something like that. It was easy. So cash.
I gotta say that game seemed almost too good to be true for me,
Yep.
which is why I stayed away. But I mean, sometimes you gotta just go with your gut, and that
sometimes the obvious is obvious for a reason, and you just take it. And then the Cardinals Chiefs, which I felt good about. Patrick Mahomes is that dude, threw 5 touchdowns, that also had no chance of cashing by like the second half. So a pretty relaxed betting card for me. But overall, 2 in 1 week, 6 units up, 2 units down, positive week. We'll head over to your side of the card where it's not as pretty. My God, Alabama.
What were they doing?
They have question marks, and honestly, they probably should have lost. Like Bryce Young, I don't like the roughing the passer nonsense that they turned into giving Alabama the ball back when it should have, at a minimum, been illegal grounding or should have been intentional grounding in the end zone. At a maximum, probably a Texas touchdown. But yeah, Alabama never ran away with it. When I saw the 90% bets, 90% money, it always terrifies me. That never works out well. So,
this is the one case where I didn't go opposite the popular opinion, and it really bit me in the ass.
Yep. The Niners Bears under, that felt pretty good most of the way. They were playing on a sponge.
Well, I was going to say too, this was even before. I mean, mind you, this is well before the reports of freaking monsoon hitting Chicago. So this got steamed under. I think it was like 37 by the time.
Yeah, it was 37.5, depending on where you looked.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting it early was the move. And then I warned you about the Green Bay, Minnesota. It didn't really play out the way I kind of expected. I thought it was a lot more running. But my God, did that come under. So not a great week for you. 2-4 on the season. I'm 4-2 on the season. I'm up 3 units. You're down 6, but that's okay. We're very early. We have a long way to go. And with that being said, let's jump into our picks, and I'll give you the tee box as you give me your first play, which is the Syracuse Orange versus Purdue over 28.5 in the first half.
Yeah, this game for me seems like a slam dunk, which I felt the same way with Alabama last week. But you're looking at a Syracuse team that scored over 50, I think, both of their first 2 games, going up against an offense in Purdue who has one of the top aerial attacks in college football, led by Aiden O'Connell, who has looked absolutely fantastic. Syracuse has not faced a team with this kind of passing offense yet this season, and Purdue's defense is still, I mean, I don't even know what to say about them except for they're a question mark. They're going up against the Syracuse offense, who has looked pretty good on their own part. So I feel like getting the 4 touchdowns plus a field goal in the first half here should be no doubt. I think this is going to be close, within 5 minutes of the second quarter. This could have hit the over. So I feel this is a great play, and it's around 29 or 29.5 at every other sports book. So I think grabbing this, I believe it was over at FanDuel, is the play at the moment for me. And I would actually bet this up to about 30 right now as we speak.
Yeah, I think the first half and the full game are both in play. We saw what Sean Clifford did to this Purdue defense, and Sean
Exactly.
Clifford is terrible at football. So great call on your part. I think it makes a lot of sense. And there's a sneaky chance that Syracuse is like the Pittsburgh of last year, where they so all of a sudden kind of pieces fall together. They look really good, and they're a lot more competitive than I think anybody expected. Speaking of Mr. Sean Clifford, my first play is the Auburn Tigers +3 at home versus Penn State. What are we doing? The look ahead line before the season started had Auburn as a short favorite. I know Auburn's not great. I know they have their question marks, but an SEC team at home hosting Penn State, I getting 3 points. Like, give me those points all day. Auburn money line is worth a sprinkle. I think they do enough to keep it close. I think they have a very good shot to win. And I think Sean Clifford does Sean Clifford things, throws it to the wrong team, and the Tigers are able to at least cover the number, if not win the game on the field. So I will take the candy with the SEC.
That's funny. Real quick, before we even get off that game, that was one of the first ones I actually looked at, and taking the home dog just straight on the money line for those same factors you just said. Like Penn State going into Auburn, like I don't know if they're going to be able to compete just visiting that stadium in the SEC. Like Penn State is not up to par with the kind of athletes they got in the SEC.
100%. Like I love what James Franklin's doing some good stuff, and he is making some serious noise. But there's a clear drop off. It's Ohio State, Michigan, then it's Penn State, and Auburn and Penn State are probably on similar levels. So giving me 3 points with the home team, I smash. Let's go with your next pick. New Orleans Saints money line versus Tampa Bay. Talk to me about this one. It's dipped a little bit. It was plus 145 in the open. It's now like 130, 135. It's still a great number.
Yeah, I actually grabbed this a little bit earlier in the week at plus 140. It's all the way down to plus 130 as we speak. Like I think by game time, this is probably be closer to my plus 120, and a plus 110 number, maybe even a pick 'em depending on what we see leading up to the week. Now, mind you, there could be some issues with Alvin Kamara coming into this week, but they clearly didn't need him last week. Famous Jameis was slinging the ball all over the field in the second half. I think that's the offense you see start from the get this week against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's offensive line looked like garbage against Dallas. I think New Orleans' defense is much better overall than the Cowboys. Like a lot of people like to talk about the Cowboys defense, but they gave up, I think, the most yardage in the NFL last year. So you can't gauge that. Getting money at home against a Tom Brady-led Bucs team who has yet to beat them. Like New Orleans absolutely dominates Tampa Bay, even with Brady there. So give me them as a dog at home every time.
Yeah. So 2020, they lost 38-3, and they lost 34-23. And then in 2021, Tampa Bay lost 9-0, and they lost 36-27. As you mentioned, Jameis looked great. Finally found their swagger in the second half. Having
the
a
slant man is back.
Oh, Michael Thomas. It was so nice. That move he put in the end zone, that back shoulder fade. Jarvis looked good. And
they didn't even get Olave involved in the passing game yet. And once he gets
Taysom Hill's a thing.
That's disgusting for fantasy purposes. Like I don't want to go off the rails here.
Unless you drafted him in the 18th round of best ball drafts in your loving life. As you can see, I'm joining you, Brian. I am taking the +3, not the money line, but I think both bets make a ton of sense. As we've been ad nauseum. New Orleans has just been that team that Tom has had issues against in his 2 seasons in Tampa. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be interesting. But I think the Saints can do enough at home to keep this game close and have a real shot to win the game. So I like where your head's at, and I'm going to ride. I'll take the points. You take the money line. Both ways, I think we cash. This almost made me end the podcast, but we'll see what you have to say as I walk my Tennessee Titans hat. Tell me why my Titans are going to get absolutely smashed on Monday night.
Well, first of all, let me just start by saying they lost to the Giants by giving up multiple touchdowns in the second half to a Daniel Jones-led team.
They lost to Saquon Barkley, and they lost because of their dumb coaching.
I mean, and I mean, that's even before mentioning how good Buffalo looked on the opening night against the Rams, who the Rams are probably worse than what we thought coming into this season, but that does not discount how good Buffalo actually looked. They even kind of throttled down the offense as we got into the latter part of the game. I don't think Tennessee is going to be able to stop them. I don't think Tennessee's offense is going to be able to move the ball against this Bills defense, who is fairly healthy coming into this week, while Tennessee is dealing with multiple injuries already on the defensive side of the ball. I just think that even laying such a big number like this, I think by the time this kickoff, this might be, 11, 12, even upwards of 13, which is getting crazy. But I mean, Buffalo is that team this year. They're the Super Bowl favorites for a reason. They look absolutely fantastic. And I had to add this on the card.
I think you're 100% correct. I think it's absolutely the play. The Titans are figuring stuff out. Their secondary is the worst part of their defense. They also don't have Harold Landry, who was one of their best pass rushers.
Killer.
So that Josh Allen's going to have all the time. He's going to have all the weapons. He's going to throw all over this defense. Honestly, I would be looking to alt line this. Obviously, open 7.5. It's up to 9. It's up to 10, depending on where you look.
I was going to say, like I said, I like this up to 13.5.
Yeah,
like
I would look at a 13.5 on the outline. I would look at a 16.5 on the outline. One thing I will push back is a lot of the Titans are one of those weird teams where when they play good teams, they seem to look a lot better. When they play crappy teams, they seem to look a lot worse. So, we'll see. But yeah, they went 6-1 in 1-score games last year. I think regression is coming. They have some issues on both sides of the ball. And as much as I love Ryan Tannehill and where he's taken us the last couple of years, there's clear holes in his game. And the offensive line is dog trash. And
I will also say there's a continuity problem with this wide receiver core as well. Like, you can't put all the blame on Tannehill. The fact that they're working in a rookie in Treylon Burks, Robert Woods, I mean, is coming off of a pretty big injury in the Rams' first year in this system. Like, they do not have any pieces that are coming back. Like, they're going to have some growing pains early on.
100%. And AJ Brown's just being a monster in Philly. So no worries. just cast him aside. I am also going to go with a big number, and I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers at home. There's a 9.5 out there at FanDuel -118. I'm taking the 10 because that's the more popular number. I would take 10. I would take 13.5. I think the Niners look so much better this week. And I know the Seahawks won, but the Broncos had 2 fumbles in the near the end zone that completely flipped that game. Nathaniel Hackett was also a big chicken and sat on the ball despite having Russell Wilson and settling for a long field goal. I think the Niners offense did not look amazing, but they had moments. Trey Lance showed some stuff thrown to Ayuk. Debo's running the ball in the backfield. So I think the Elijah Mitchell loss will be kind of mitigated. I also curious to see what we get out of an active TDP or Jordan Mason this week. But I think the Niners bounce back in a big way. I think the defensive line is in the backfield all day. I am a little worried just because these two teams do play a lot of close games, despite, as division rivals. But I think this is a spot where you realize the Seahawks are a truly terrible team and the Niners are a team that have the ability to win a Super Bowl. So I will take the home team. I will take the double digits. And I think they cover it. By 2 touchdowns, 2.5 touchdowns, something like that.
Yeah, this just like the Bills play makes too much sense. San Francisco's linebacker crew is way better than what Denver has, and their pass rush is probably up to par, if not better, with Nick Bosa coming off the edge. I mean, I don't see a world where Geno Smith puts together back-to-back first halves like he did, because he didn't do crap in the second half against Denver. I did want to hit on real quick the other play that's a big number right now that's getting steamed up as we speak. It's against my Cowboys. Grab the Bengals before that reaches double digits. Their defense played great in the second half. Their offense will get humming even if it's minus T. Higgins. The Cowboys without Dak Prescott, they are not going to put together another weird performance like they did against the Vikings this week.
No, there's going to be a lot of teasers with the Niners, with the Rams, with the Bengals, and with the Bills. I would avoid going with all of those teams because there undoubtedly will be at least one or two teams that ruin that for you, but mixing them into your teasers, into your parlays isn't too crazy. So Brian, let's look at our card. Let's add some units and let's get out of here. My 3 bets: Auburn Tigers versus +3 versus Penn State. I'm going to go full 5 on that. I think that makes a ton of sense. New Orleans +3. I am going to put 3 on there. Let's just do 3. New Orleans, and then I will put I'm going to only put 1 unit on that one. That's my least confident bet of the week. Just because of the division rivalry, I just think it makes too much sense, because we don't want to take what we saw in 1 week of football and completely throw it out for all of our preseason building, all of our expectations, all of our thoughts. We think the Niners are a Super Bowl team if everything clicks. We think Seattle could have the number 1 overall pick. So that is where my card sits as of now. To break down your card, the units, and then we will get out of here.
All right, so for that Syracuse-Purdue game, I feel fairly confident in here, so I'm going to go with a 3-unit play there. I'm not getting psychopath 5 units on the first bet of the week. New Orleans versus Tampa Bay, just with the history of this. However, going up against Tom Brady, he's dying to beat the Saints with the Buccaneers. I'm only going to go 2 units because it's a plus money play. And then going back to Buffalo at -9.5 versus Tennessee, I'm going to go with a 2-unit play there, making my Syracuse versus Purdue first half play my best bet of the week for football.
Yep. So hopefully we can cash our Saturday plays, roll them into Sunday, and have a nice weekend. For Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.